Hi, today I'm in Norway. This is an electric Audi A6 e-tron and I'm about to set out on a 1,000 kilometers road trip from here, Bergen, Norway, through Sweden to Copenhagen, Denmark. Spoiler, I don't expect any problems with range or charging along the way, but to keep this vaguely interesting and to stop myself from falling asleep behind the wheel, I'll find out as much as I can about this car and I'll tell you all about it. Let's go! The Audi A6 was supposed to be an electric-only car. The idea was that even numbers would be for electric vehicles and odd numbers would be for internal combustion engine models. However, this did not sit well with the customers who are already tired of guessing power and displacement based on random numbers after the model designation. Therefore, instead of the A5 being an internal combustion engine A4 and the A7 being the internal combustion engine A6, Audi reverted to the old nomenclature and only adds the e-tron badge to EVs. The electric car differs from the internal combustion engine model because it is built on a different platform. The internal combustion engine A6 is slightly longer than the A6 e-tron but narrower and lower, while the electric car has a longer wheelbase. We're talking about cars measuring almost 5 meters in length, about 190 centimeters in width, and with wheelbase approaching 3 meters. The new Audi A6 now has slim headlights. The electric car can also be recognized by a flat-ish panel in place of the single-frame radiator grille. The greatest enemy of electric cars during long-distance journeys is drag, which increases exponentially with speed. Audi picked our route through countries with some of the lowest speed limits and highest fines. What would be a 10-hour journey in a petrol or diesel car, in this case, is going to take 2 days. In Norway, the extra-urban speed limit is 80 km per hour. Exceeding the speed limit by 1 to 5 kilometers will cost you around €100. The bigger the violation, the higher the fine, and at some stage it's just going to be jail time. In Sweden, tickets are also expensive, and the extra-urban speed is 70 km per hour. However, some of this trip will be on the Swedish motorway, where I will be able to fly at 110 kilometers per hour. I'm ashamed to admit it, but these are the speeds I often see in Warsaw within the city limits. A Polish motorway speed of 140 kilometers is purely theoretical. Now, to be fair, a lot has improved over the last 20 years or so. However, it seems high fuel prices have the greatest impact on speeding prevention. In order to get a speeding ticket in Poland, you really must be out of luck. As they say, travel makes you smarter. Suddenly I understand why EVs make sense in Scandinavia. If everyone's driving so slowly, range is not an issue. I bet it's even possible to outperform the manufacturer's claimed range. I mean, I'm doing 15.3 kilowatt hours per 100 kilometers here. But Scandinavia is a hopeless case. In Germany, there are sections of motorways without speed limits, and as you go down towards the south of Europe, driving habits become more freestyle. That's why Audi also emphasizes the aerodynamic properties of the new A6 e-tron. In case of the Avant, the drag coefficient is 0.24, and in case of the Sportback, even 0.21. To achieve results like these, you need not only flush door handles, but also optional second-generation virtual side mirrors. The design of the front has been optimized for aero. As I mentioned earlier, the EV gets a single-frame panel rather than a grille. The air intakes at the bottom are active air curtains, improve airflow around the wheels. The upper body part is low and slim. Even the underbody covers have been specifically designed to reduce air turbulence, and they are different depending on the body style. In addition to increasing efficiency, all these aerodynamic treatments are supposed to have good effect on cabin soundproofing. That's going to be hard to verify as we're driving very slowly. Adaptive cruise control with lane keeping assist and with active speed assist. Here in Norway it works much better than anywhere else. Usually I turn off the active speed assist because nobody drives according to the speed limit except in Norway and perhaps Sweden. There aren't too many speed limit changes either, so most of the time it's either 60 or 80 and that's about it. If you go into town it's gonna be 30 or 50, and the computer doesn't have to do much. In Poland there are a lot of speed limit changes, so you keep having 40, 70, 90, 50, 40, 70, 80, 90 for no apparent reason. Here it's just 80 and 60. Now, on a road like this here, which is very curvy, I'm following a truck right now and a camper van, but I still feel the car could slow down on some of these turns, because the speed limit is 80 kilometers per hour and it would happily go 80. I think it should slow down by itself to maybe about 70 or 65 even. Now, when you approach a roundabout or a junction, it will slow down to about 30 kilometers per hour, which is just about enough to cross said roundabout, but it's on the quick side. Of course, this is not autonomous driving. You are supposed to be in control, so you're supposed to slow down if necessary, but it will do it if needed. And yeah, there isn't really much more to talk about here because the car basically drives itself. Norway would be a great proving ground for autonomous vehicles. How does it ride and handle? Well, the ride is actually quite pleasant for a relatively heavy car. The suspension is very sophisticated and it does a good job of evening out any bumps, and some of the roads here are bumpy. Now, I'm somewhere up high in Norway, around, okay, I'm not gonna, or maybe I am gonna try and pronounce it, around I'll maybe put it down in the video description or on the screen where I am. Anyway, there are some twisty roads here, and on these twisty roads I did turn off lane keeping assist because it's not suited for a twisty road and a wide car. But that's a problem in many modern cars these days. You have to take a perfect line through the corner, which may not always be the perfect line for you as a passenger and as a driver to feel good about how you're cornering, because some corners are meant to be cut and then the systems intervene and make things worse. Anyway, once you turn it off and you give it a small squirt, it doesn't really do anything. This is the A6 e-tron Performance, and the performance bit has to do with the battery rather than with handling or with how fast the car is. I'm not saying it's not fast, I'm not saying it's not quick, but it doesn't feel like it. So even if I press the accelerator, it doesn't feel as quick as I would like, especially uphill. Right now we're going flat-ish downhill, so I expected a bit more from it. Other than that, yeah, it's gonna be a great motorway cruiser, because I guess this is what it's been designed for. Your mid-level management is going to be driving this to and from work and maybe to some client meetings, and yeah, they'll be perfectly content with all the driver aids and how it works. However, in the city there is a problem with visibility. Rhymes. Anyway, around the A pillars, they kind of merge with the mirrors, especially on the passenger side, so it's not the best situation. You have to sort of go around and look like that and hope for the best. Careful about curbs. Rear visibility, it's a lift back, so it's not going to be great, and no, it's not. So you will have to rely on the cameras and all the systems around in the car. Maybe there's going to be more performance in the Quattro or in the Quattro S, which are also available, but this isn't your exciting choice. This is your sensible choice. Audi is about sensible most of the time, unless you're talking RS, which this is not. Audi offers only 8 body colors, including 3 grey ones. If you want something more interesting, you have to pay for an Audi exclusive paint job. The Audi A6 e-tron is built on PPE, or the Premium Platform Electric. To a large extent, the use of this platform allows for a range of up to 756 kilometers. That and Scandinavian speed limits. The A6 e-tron Performance, like this one, has a gross battery capacity of 100 kilowatt-hours or almost 95 kilowatt-hours net. There are 12 modules which house 180 prismatic cells. The 800-volt architecture means DC charging up to 270 kilowatts. In optimal conditions, you can regain about 300 kilometers in 10 minutes, and charging from 10 to 80% takes 21 minutes. The base e-tron without performance has 83 kilowatt-hours gross capacity, 76 kilowatt-hours net, and around 627 kilometers range. Panels protecting the traction battery are attached to the chassis, not to the battery, which better secures the most expensive element of the electric car and improves heat management. The battery temperature is important from the point of view of efficiency as well as the charging time. Of course, the computer constantly monitors the route, the battery charge status, and depending on the route planned in the navigation, automatically prepares the car for fast charging. Audi claims that up to 95% of braking in everyday driving is done by recuperation. In optimal conditions, the A6 e-tron is able to recover energy with a power of up to 220 kilowatts, although I suspect this value is achieved in conditions far from everyday driving. Recuperation is no longer controlled by the braking system, but by one of 5 computers responsible for the chassis, which also increases efficiency because all the computers and systems talk to each other. Recuperation is 2-stage, and the driver can select the level of energy recovery using paddles on the steering wheel. You can also select the B mode, which is similar to one-pedal driving. Additionally, the system monitors the road in front of the car, and in the event of a build-up, increases the level of recuperation. Now let's talk about the Audi A6 e-tron's cockpit, but before that, a short update. I'm wearing different clothes because it's the next day. We drove from Oslo to somewhere close to Gothenburg, and we're going further on to Copenhagen. 330 kilometers driven so far. On the motorway, 110-ish kilometers per hour. Almost 18 kilowatt hours per 100 kilometers. One charging stop for a toilet break, get a quick cup of coffee. Everything from plugging in and authorization to plugging out and taking off took about 25 minutes, and it looks like we will not have to charge all the way to Copenhagen now, which is another 287 kilometers. It is very windy today, by the way, so we'll see about that when we talk about route planning with charging. It seems that the entire 1,000-ish kilometers trip we could do with 3 charging stops if we didn't charge overnight at the hotel. Again, all these charging stops are till about 80%. If the car was charged full, we could probably do it in 2. That's that. Okay, one thing you may notice around here is this kind of black panel, and it does affect visibility somewhat, but this panel is actually where the display would go for the 2nd generation virtual mirrors. The virtual mirrors debuted in Audi e-tron, which was an SUV without any particular segment. Now we have A4, A6, A whatever e-tron, and Q3, 4, 5, whatever e-tron. But back then this was like one SUV e-tron, so it had virtual mirrors, and the displays were a bit too low, some people claimed, and I agree with them, so now they're a bit higher. And the virtual mirrors save about 7 kilometers range if we're talking about aerodynamics. Now, speaking of aerodynamics and noises this car makes or doesn't make or isolates us from them, we were on the motorway today, and depending on the surface, the interior can be very quiet. However, if the surface is a bit rougher, if the tarmac is a bit rougher, there is some tire noise coming from underneath, but from the outside it's pretty well sound insulated. Let's talk about the cockpit. We've got door pockets, cup holders, very good wireless charger, although it's invisible, so you may find yourself forgetting your phone there. I'm not sure if there's a warning, I'm sure there is, reminding you to take your phone, but you literally don't see it. However, there's a clip holding the phone in place, which is good. It doesn't bounce about, so it charges very, very quickly. I sometimes complain that some of the wireless chargers are not powerful enough, and then you say, oh yeah, but you've got a protective case. This protective case doesn't impact how quickly this thing charges my phone. It's unbelievably quick and unbelievably reliable, so that's a good thing. Cup holders, armrest storage, and in this armrest storage there is a place, there's like you can slide things underneath the cup holders. So there's a first aid kit and I think a manual or something, so all this fits down here. That's good. We got a couple of buttons here for drive select. Car starts in individual mode always, instead of whatever else you left it in, and you have safety features button here. So yesterday I switched lane assist off when we were going up and down the twisty mountain roads. Back to this in a moment. This whole thing, this like a curved panel, is divided into 2 displays. The driver's display with data about with your trip computer, with safety systems, and with navigation, media, whatever else. It's quite legible. I like that. Big screen here with sat-nav. Sat-nav has obviously route planning with charging, and it's pretty reliable. It estimates what's happening based on the road situation, on the speed, and other conditions. Pretty reliable, and yeah, I don't have to use Google Maps all of a sudden. There isn't really much, I mean, there is a lot going on here, but it's not like you're going to use it. AC controls, touch, but they are down here always accessible, so that's good. Touch buttons on the steering wheel, not a fan, but at least they are here, and the adaptive cruise control joystick behind the steering wheel, not a great fan, but at least it's physical. So that's that. And there is one more screen here. which is for the passenger, and we kind of clicked around through it, and yeah, we can't install anything right now because I don't think we have internet connection on this, or a data pack which would allow us to download apps. But yeah, you can download something like YouTube or EV charger map or Zoom, it seems, for whatever reason, or you can just mirror your sat-nav here. And at the moment I see what's on the screen, but when the car is moving, this screen becomes invisible to the driver, and it's just available to the passenger, who may or may not reach it depending on how far they recline. And I like this seat to be pushed as far back as possible, because only then I have really good visibility to the side. Okay, so that's a very long talk about the cockpit of the Audi A6. Oh, did I mention that these air vents, they keep blowing air into my wrists or into my elbows, and it's not ideal. I didn't mention this, so now you know. I'd rather have the air vents up here and the screen a bit lower, but I can live with that, at least for the couple of days that I'm driving this car. And now let's see what the back seat is like. Rear seat of the Audi A6 e-tron. I'm 175 centimeters tall. The driver's seat is set to my driving position. Loads of legroom. Headroom, for me it's sufficient. If you're any taller, it's not going to be good. Also, I noticed my thighs are up in the air, which isn't ideal. So the floor is quite thick because the batteries had to fit somewhere. We've got door pockets, we've got some cup holders in the armrest, and we've got a ski hatch for longer items. There is third zone climate control and heated seats. Side seats are heated. Also, Isofix anchor points are on the sides, and there is an Isofix anchor point on the front passenger seat as well. As for the middle seat, I'd love to tell you it's great, but it isn't, because while it is quite wide, there is no footroom. The center console should be cut out at the bottom so that I could move my foot in there, but this is for, like, I don't know, maybe 35 size foot. So not ideal for the middle passenger, even though it should be. I mean, this is a dedicated EV platform, allegedly, until they made PPC next to PPE. Totally different platform. According to Audi, the boot in 5-seat configuration has 502 liters VDA regardless of the body variant. The Sportback has slightly less space in 2-seat configuration, 1330 liters instead of 1422 liters in the Avant. Audi also listened to clients and added a small 27-liter frunk, just enough for charging cables. I'm sorry I didn't get a shot of it. There's a couple of seconds of stock footage. If equipped with a tow hitch, your A6 e-tron can tow up to 2100 kilograms regardless of the powertrain. Prices of the Audi A6 e-tron start at €62,800 for the Sportback and €64,450 for the Avant. This test car is an A6 e-tron Sportback Performance. With extras, it costs €94,415. Can you road trip the A6 e-tron? Yes, as long as the chargers are fast and you take it slow. Is this how you like to travel? Let me know in the comment section below. If you like my sarcastic, down-to-earth and possibly mildly amusing car reviews, join me every Friday at 3 p.m. Central European Time, and don't forget to subscribe and like this video, as it helps me with the YouTube algorithm. Thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next one.